Welcome to another episode of the No More Wasted Days podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Sarah.
I'm Heather.
And today, Heather is celebrating her 4-year alcohol-free soberversary with us. It's not right on this date, but it's right around here. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. It's interesting because when you said that, I felt like what took me back was my first year. I wanted to thank the Academy. So if the Academy is listening, thank you.
Thank you so much. I know I always think of that when you said that. I'm like, it is. I remember my first year being like, and when's the parade start?
Right.
Like,
I don't know who the
anybody?
Academy really is, but if there's a
Yeah.
member,
If there is a
that's how I felt.
sober academy, they should make it so you can put in for certain soberversaries and be like, this one feels particularly special to me this year. Or because some years you're like, I don't need too much. But some years you're like, dang, I got through a
Yeah.
year and I need some celebrating.
Yeah. We got to do superlatives, sober edition.
You're going to have to fill me in on superlative.
So like in high school, we had like most popular, friendliest, funniest. Like we could do superlative moments of our
I
journey.
like that.
Anyway.
Okay. Oh, I like that. Now you got me thinking. I'm like, I'm going to be doing some research on that. That would be a funny one to do.
Yeah. Speaking of, we're going to dive into my reflections on the past 40 years of my sobriety journey. Hey, what do you think about that,
Awesome.
Sarah?
I think it's amazing. I can't believe I've been along with you this whole time.
It's mind blowing. And like, I think about when I first met you, and I was like in my car in my driveway writing notes on the back of an envelope
Yeah.
and like just so wobbly in all aspects of life. And here we are. Here I am.
I totally always remember your first Daymakers call that you hopped on. And I was like, oh, I hope she keeps hopping on. Because I remember you had your daughter's birthday was very, very close. You were going to have a celebration and you were working towards the 30 days. And then you were like, I got to get to this birthday party, be able to do that. And I know I can do it, but I just need support.
Yep. And here I am. So when I started writing this, I got really vulnerable with myself. And then I had a vulnerability hangover, even with my own self. And
Yeah.
I was reflecting how year 3 didn't have a task assigned to it. My first year was hell. My second year was emotional sobriety. And year 3 didn't have a task. It came in quietly. There was no fireworks or anything. It was just quiet and soft.
Yeah.
And it lead me to think that healing doesn't need to announce itself and that sobriety is a home and becoming a home and not a war.
Yeah. It's you stepping into who you are.
Year 1 was hell. Like, that was the war, right? And I did it sober. And it's like, now it feels like I'm coming home to me.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. So, do you think that this year is your coming home year?
I think so. I think year 3 laid the foundation. Year 4 will just be a soft coming home.
That I really
And
like that.
I do too, because you think about a home being like a place that we live, right? Or you'll hear people say other people feel like home, but how often do you really think, like, am I at home within my own self?
Yeah.
So it's my homecoming. And I wrote on here that I'm not counting days anymore. I am still checking in on my app, and I'm counting more on the days that I'm present. Because what I learned is that you can be sober and 99.9% not present.
Oh, that's so true.
Whether it's distractions out of your control or by controlling your emotions, even your sobriety with productivity, which is something I have really struggled with. So it's more of a focus on present versus 1,500 days.
Yeah.
It just feels
Yeah.
at this time the most intentional thing that I can do. It also helps me think of the moment versus the next milestone so that I'm not like sabotaging with future tripping, you know? Like when I get to 2,000 days, I'm going to blah, blah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know. Because I've kind of noticed that what you're talking about in my journey as well. Like I feel like I used to really cling to the number almost. Like I can't wait till I get to this number. And now I'm just kind of like, I even see other people hit numbers that are higher than mine. And I used to go, oh, I can't wait to hit that. I mean, I'm definitely like 10 years will be really cool, but that's quite a ways away for me. But it is like, oh, that'll be really cool. But I like the way you're thinking of it in terms of like, how present can I be during this next year? How can I feel more at peace with myself in the next year? I think that's when you know, like, you've really arrived in your sobriety because you know that the work is so much more than not drinking.
Oh, yeah. And you have allowed it to be messy and not feel the need to constantly explain myself. And I think that's a huge sign of growth as an individual. In that I could not do that without not drinking.
Yeah.
I couldn't let it get messy and even come to these observations if I had still been drinking. And just being in the moment with my daughter and playing and being silly and having tea parties and playing like who can hug each other the hardest, the tightest, like who's going to win. Like those little games are so much, and moments are so much more important overall than a lot of things I have probably signed a significant amount of importance to even 6 months ago.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so excited for your year of presence and and I love
Me
the year
too.
of homecoming because I know you like a crown and there needs
I
to be a
really
homecoming
love the
queen.
crown. I agree. I totally agree.
So we
And
crown
the
you the
first
queen this
crown,
year.
yes, it's so funny you say that. My daughter and I play a game called Queen. I'll spare you my British accent. And the crown came like the Pope's crown. Do you
Oh
call it
my
a
God.
crown? I don't know if Pope's wear a crown, but the big black crown. That's what I
Yeah,
want.
yeah.
Listeners, that's what I want. A big old crown like the Pope wears.
You're like, I'm not messing around with my homecoming crown,
Nope. I want it to be like the Pope's crown or hat. Yes.
but don't be
Okay.
the Pope. No offense,
No,
Pope.
no, I'm not allowed. So I got to thinking about, speaking of forgiveness, this is a really good segue. I got to thinking about what I forgave. And I have a really interesting relationship with forgiveness. I think a lot of us do. We talk about forgiveness a lot. And I love to hold a grudge on myself and other people. It's protective. It's productive, actually. And it was time to look at it a little further. And you know, I love to encourage folks to start on their self and move outward. So that's what I had to do.
In your
So
third
I
year.
forgave the version, yeah, in my third year. And I didn't realize I was doing it. I didn't sit down with a list and say, these are all of Heather's wrongdoing. So this is what we're going to work on and confess to, speaking of the Pope reference, one by one.
Yeah.
So I started with forgiving the version of me that didn't know how to stay. And what I mean by that is I did not know how to not abandon myself forever. I think alcohol is key, and it's the best way to abandon yourself, and is the best way to run away.
Yeah.
So I did not know how to stay, so I had to forgive that lady.
I like that.
Yeah, it's true. Make me tear up, but I won't do that to you. I had to forgive the me who clung to what hurt because it was familiar. That was a big one.
Yeah. That one is always huge for people when they quit and they start going, I wish I would have done this sooner. Well, you did it when you did it. And I always tell people you
Yep.
did it at the right time for you. So you can't play
Yeah.
the I should have. Can't should all over yourself, right?
Right. And it's incredibly powerful how you can truly choose a familiar hell than take a chance on your peace.
Yes.
And that hell could be anything.
Yeah.
And then I had to work on the mama and forgive myself for all like the guilt. Because I've heard myself on the podcast talk about like I have extreme mom guilt. I had to work on like, for one, why. Number two, I mean, I was, well, number one, the why is survival mode. I had to do what I had to do in order to survive literally and figuratively. So I had to really look at that because I caught myself saying that a lot. Like, why? Okay, Heather, you said it a lot, but why do you have the mom guilt?
Yeah.
And it was those survival skills, whether it was drinking and then battling cancer, then all the stuff after and being so productive and balancing the world on both hands and one toe.
And figuring it out.
Yeah. And we are overly influenced by that culture as a society. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
when we don't think we're worthy to sit down and come home to ourselves, when we're like constantly at war with like chores and tasks and little bitty things that stay busy.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm working on that one still. I still have to myself and say, you're just being busy. Like, you don't need to do this. There's so like I'll have to evaluate the what's important stuff. And me and Ryan talk about sometimes it's kind of fascinating the push on women to keep a clean house versus like do their job, like if you work from home. And I really have to lean into
Hmm.
like sometimes it's okay for me to work on my job and for the laundry to get behind, for Laundry Mountain to get a little out of control. And I've
Yeah.
started looking at it as a feminism thing, and it is like empowering to
Yeah.
just be like, oh, yeah, sometimes I need to get behind on these things because I'm getting ahead somewhere else.
I think a lot of people feel that way who work from home
Yeah. And it
and
is
just
just and
balance
it's really
living your own
hard,
story.
and when you're working on your sobriety and you have so many emotions coming up that you've never had and that and even the farther you get, it's like a new emotion almost pops up each year like, "Oh, I haven't dealt with like grief in my sobriety
Mhm.
yet. I haven't dealt with like, I haven't dealt with anger in a real way yet in my sobriety." So it's like when it finally happens, it's so easy to get busy during those times. Be like, I'm just going to be super busy, super productive, and not think about this thing. And you don't know you're doing it. I know
Yeah.
I'm doing it now. And I think that might be the first step, that I know I'm doing it now. And then the
Mhm.
next step might be not doing it. That one's
I
too
think it's
hard
figuring
right
out
now.
why. For me, it's always the why. Like, why do I do this? Why do people
I
do this?
know.
Why sound like Piper? Why?
All right. It's like we're probably really, when you think about it, we're in our toddlerdom of sobriety. Like you're turning 4. I'm going to turn 6 this
Hmm.
year. So it is like you're still very much in that why phase. So that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. It's like forgiving the silence and the shame and the voice that said you should be further along.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
That one, it's funny. I was talking about that last night with somebody, and they were like, the should never be in your vocabulary unless you're looking towards the future. But even if you're looking towards the future, if you're saying, well, I should get this thing done, well, are you going to or are you not? Like,
Mhm.
should or get off the pot, right?
Right. I like that.
I like, I told him, I have a friend who says, don't shit all over yourself. And they were laughing pretty hard. I was like, it's a pretty good one. And oh
True.
my
Hmm.
gosh, because you can get, especially like in your sobriety journey, I should have quit sooner. I should have forgave that person sooner. I should have figured out that this person wasn't a good fit for me sooner. There's so many different things, right?
Oh, yeah. I think, too, when I forgave myself for dragging my past around like a punishment and started carrying it differently, like a story, I survived, which is true. Very true. Because I will say a lot, I survived breast cancer. I'm a trauma survivor. And this part was very much survival. And I'm still here. So I think there's
Yeah.
so much shame to tie back to the other part I was just talking about. And especially when people tell you who you thought supported you, that like you will drink again, you will get a transfer addiction, and you
Mm-hmm.
hear that, and it's like you're unbothered, really. I think that is also a deep, deep sign of I survived, and this is my story, and it's not going to be continue to be my punishment.
Yeah. Look at it as a story instead of a punishment. That's a good one. I got to pack that one away because that is so. I often tell myself there's this song. It's by AJR, everybody, but it's 100 bad days made 100 good stories. And whenever like we're going through something, I'm like, well, this is gonna be a real good story later. And sometimes I
Mm-hmm.
get so mad at myself when I think it, because sometimes it's not. You're like, really, this is gonna be a good story. I'm like, of course, this is gonna be a spill the tea story. This is a good one.
Yeah.
It is just like, yeah, if you can learn to reframe your past like that and go, well, now it's a story that I get to carry around, and I can
Mm-hmm.
choose to look at it how I want to. I think, thank you for saying that. That one's really big. I think that'll hit with a lot of listeners.
I hope so. I've often said no one's hated me more than me, and I believe that's true. And
Yeah.
that statement will keep you stuck.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
And then knowing that forgiveness, all that talk about forgiveness, it's not a finish line, it's a soften, and I'm softer.
Yeah. And there will be other things, and now you're going to be even better at it, recognizing it, forgiving it, moving on. And
And I
that's
think
cool.
what I know now, that's what I think, because I always think about it like what I think I know right now, it could change tomorrow, right? It's sobriety for me is a spiral, not a straight climb. And I'm working on reclaiming the word spiral
Hmm.
because we hear about shame spirals. We hear about this from listeners and folks we work with and ourselves. So it's a climb.
Yeah.
And
And think about that spiraling up, not spiraling down.
yeah, yeah. And I've learned how to stay with discomfort with myself and not having it all figured out, which is
Yeah.
very hard for me. Very, very, very hard.
Oh, I hear that. I know. Have you read The Mountain Is You?
I was thinking about that book the other day. No, I have not read it.
It's all about what is, gosh, it's all about, why can't I think about it? It's all about self sabotage. I just couldn't think of the word. I was like, it's all about self sabotage and how you sabotage yourself. And one of the ways, I haven't gotten all the way through it. It's one that I read when I feel like I need a little self help pick me up. So I'm slowly going through it. But one of the ways people self sabotage is to run away and to uproot. And I was like,
Yep.
ooh, that's one that I feel a lot. I don't uproot a lot. I know I have moved, but I'm not a person who moves regularly at all. But I definitely get that feeling when things are going wrong. I want to run away. It's like even if I
Oh
can get
boy.
in my car and drive and pretend I'm running away. And that's one that I really want to work on and get to the root of and understand, why do I have that feeling? What is that? And what am I searching for with that feeling? And how can I actually give it to myself in a healthy way?
Right. And running from yourself, good God, that's impossible. And although it's not,
Right?
we drink a lot. I drink a lot.
Yeah.
And it's confusing and painful and exhausting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The planning the runaway, like I do that. I'm like, oh, when then I'm like, you're wasting so
Mhm.
much time when you could just be figuring out what the issue is and dealing with it.
Yeah. I think like sometimes that can be like a healthy daydream though. When we can't run, maybe when we're practicing not running away from ourselves or other. And then like the thought of like peace isn't loud and it doesn't shout over shame. It sits beside it. That's been a really peaceful and powerful reframe. It's not loud and it's not over shame. It's just beside it. So we're always going to have some shame about something.
Yeah.
And I think it's better to let them be co-pilots than try to put one over the other at this
Yeah.
point.
There's a lot of different images with that you can have for sure. It's like
Mm-hmm.
you could have that the peace can hug the shame and can help
Mm-hmm.
it, help support it, or even the idea that two things can exist at the same time, two contradictory things can
Mm-hmm.
exist at the same time.
I do believe that.
And just start thinking of, I like the idea of thinking of two things that you feel that are contradictory existing at the same time, but maybe understanding why they exist at the same time and how they're working together to exist at that
Mm-hmm.
same time. I think that that's a huge,
Yeah.
powerful thing as we move through our sobriety.
It's
And
like wearing two different shoes.
yeah,
Mm-hmm. You can wear two different shoes at the same time.
you can. My sister accidentally asked two different
Oh,
sandals.
yeah.
She was doing it yesterday. I was laughing at her. I was like, well, did you at least pack a right and a left? And she was like, I don't know. And then she came out. She's like, I did. And I was
It's a
like, it looks
win,
good. I was like, see, this could be terrible. Now you're on the other side. It's all good.
right? Your sister is proof to our theory. I also think it's powerful for me to grasp that I do not have to apologize for who I was when I was hurting. And I have a unique relationship with apologies and over apologies.
Yeah.
And I noticed like in 3 years, I would apologize over every little thing. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Really, there's a lot to that when you dig deep. And the cool part is I don't feel like I have to apologize for who I was when I
Yeah.
was really hurting. So,
Yeah. It's just part of the story, right?
yeah. And then that joy takes practice. And you'll hear me say it a lot. And the day makers hear this a lot. And people I work with, it's a practice. It's a practice. I think joy for me is like something that I think is just going to happen to me. Like, notice I said to me, like just boom. And it can, right? There's moments with my daughter, there's things like that. And it takes practice.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think when people
And
start realizing that, that's a huge one. You go out and you find the joy, you create the joy.
yeah. And being sober isn't just about what I let go of, it's about what I've let in. And that's more joy, less apologies, less excuses, less explaining. So I have room.
Isn't it so much more full
And
on the other side?
yeah, yeah. And that growth doesn't make me lovable. I already am.
Yeah. I know that's one I'm working on
Mhm.
majorly. Like, just as I am, people will say it to me, and I'll be like, I know, like, you're worthy of love just as you are. I know. And then I'm like, hold on. Do you believe that about yourself? Like, that's when I always have to stop. Like, but do you believe that? And I have to really sit with it and be like, okay, yes. And then I'm a very like, well, how do I prove I believe it type person. Like, how can I sit
Yeah.
in that? How can I show that to myself? Because it's a really cool thing to say it, but how do you do it? And I think that's a really neat idea, really, that the growth doesn't
I
make me lovable. I already am.
It does. I am giggling because I have to share this. I love celebrities and like their stories, memoirs, things like that. And Kanye West fascinates me. I'm not saying good, bad, or indifferent about
Yeah.
Kanye. And saw an interview clip of him the other night that said, because I am dope shit and I do dope shit. So that makes me think growth doesn't make me lovable. I already am. I am dope shit and I do dope shit. It
Of
just
all
makes me
people to
giggle
get you that,
because
Kanye.
Kanye West, it doesn't, if it doesn't surprise me at all, but that like landed, and he was at Dave Letterman. No, he was somewhere. It's not Dave Letterman. Jamie Foxx. He had not talked all day, and somebody called him, and that's the first thing he said all day long. And I was like, well, it's interesting. And the fact that he said, I'm dope shit and I do dope shit. It's like, huh, I'm gonna make that my mantra. So thanks, Kanye.
I'm gonna make that my mantra. I
I like
was
it.
thinking, I was like, that's a pretty good shirt, not gonna lie.
Yeah. So, listeners, I want to share that if you're somewhere between day one and year 4 or beyond, I see you. You're not broken, you're becoming. Your healing might come with shaking hands and a messy kitchen. A kitchen that's messy. You do not need to be perfectly regulated or productive to be worthy of love. Just stay. Keep choosing yourself. Keep coming home. And we can use my mantra. Well, Kanye's mantra if needed. So just keep coming home.
Yeah, I love the two. Your healing might come with shaking hands and a messy kitchen. It really might. And
Uh-huh.
it's okay because the mess will be there and you
Yeah.
can clean it up. And you can deal
Mhm.
with your own stuff in the meantime and look at it in a
Yeah. Like
positive
your
way.
shaky hands.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And year 3 did not make me invincible. It made me softer. And I think that's the point.
I really love that. You had some major takeaways as you reflected on your year 3, like major. I feel like you were like, oh, year 3 didn't really have a theme. Oh, I think it did.
No,
I think it did.
I think it did.
It's like, I think there was some
It's
major
interesting.
growth. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But you were like, well, this was this year. I think it's just that, oh no, you're just now ending it out and you can look back at it and reflect. And I loved hearing all this. This was awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm like, I feel like I have like a lot of things to reflect on myself after hearing it all. So thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. Thank you. And I think that it's really important for real for our listeners to be like, just a reminder that like if you're in your first hour of not drinking or your first day, you're in the hardest days. And I did not get to year 4 without those really hard moments.
Yeah. I always tell people that. Like if you're looking at somebody and you're like, oh my gosh, they look like they've got it so easy. First, they don't. Second,
No.
they didn't get to where they are without having a day one and probably without a
Right.
lot of restarts that you didn't see. So it's just like, just keep going because your time is
Keep it
finally going to
moving.
come. Yep. Keep it moving. I say that
Keep
so
it
much
moving.
now.
It's a classic. Thank y'all for listening. Keep it moving. Do the next right thing. We'll see you next week. Bye, y'all.